this session, we are going to cover qualitative data analysis, which is module number 4 from our qualitative research webinar series 2020. Okay, we have already covered the overview of qualitative research. We have also covered conceptualizing our research and data collection, data management, as well as transcription. Okay, now the time has come for us to cover qualitative data analysis. What is data analysis? Okay, let me just go quickly to ask you this question. What is data analysis? Can you help me by typing in the chat box? What do you know about data analysis? What is actually data analysis? Okay. Now everybody's talking about we have to analyze our data. There are a lot of data analysis strategies. We have quantitative data analysis, we have qualitative data analysis, but what is actually data analysis? Can you take 1 minute to reflect and type in the chat box? Aina Rama mentioned that it is for making sense of the data. Baya mentioned it is to interpret data during data collection. Okay. Researchers' interpretation of data obtained. Okay. I'm not going to give the decision yet. Okay. The process of analyzing gathered data based on your research analytical framework. Okay. Good idea. Anybody else? Are you Googling the answer? Okay. All right. Making sense of the words and languages into data for research. The analysis, the input that we got from respondents reflecting the research question. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. All your answers are correct. Okay, all your answers are correct. And I would like to highlight what is mentioned by Ainu Rahma here. Okay, because when we read data methodological textbooks, okay, how they define data analysis is the process of making sense of the data. Okay, and the process will involve interpretation of data during data collection. It will also involve the process of you gathering the data and then understanding what is it in the data. Okay, linking it to the research questions and objective. Okay, the data that we got from the respondents, the data that we got from the library, the data that we got. Any data at all that we get, okay, we always have to link it back to the research questions and objective. But that process is not as simple as has been defined, okay, in the textbooks. Okay, why? Because from my experience, as well as the experience from other friends as well, we face the difficulty of knowing what are the steps to do actually. Theoretically, yeah, you're trying to understand the data. You need to link it to the research question. But practically, how do we do it? Okay, let's go to the definition by, I'm supposed to mention Walcott 1994 here. Okay, the process of making sense of the data. I will add that reference name before I release this handout. Okay, what is it actually? So everything that you have mentioned just now, the data that you got from the respondent, any source data, the raw data is something that you can see on your left-hand side here, which is the source data. Okay, they can be in multiple formats: text, audio, video, images, and etc. Okay, it can be in PDF, it can be in DOC, DOCX, TXT, RTF, JPG, PNG, MP3, MP4, MP5, okay, and for that matter, okay, any data which is qualitative in nature, okay, the ones that you have collected, we are going to make sense of the data by way of converting the format from your left-hand side to the right-hand side. Okay, what is it on your left-hand side? The raw data. What is it on your right-hand side? Will be the research report, okay, or the interpreted data, okay, the data which you have already understood, you have already made sense of it. Okay, the process is you're gonna describe, putting all the analysis strategies, you're going to interpret it until it comes into the format of your research report. It can be your final chapter, it can be your thesis, dissertation, in fact, article, okay, journal articles for that matter, something which is understood by the readers, okay, something because the reader is seldom interested in your raw data. They are interested in you highlighting what is the research question and objective, and they want to know the answer. Okay, the answer to that question is something that you have already finished the process of analyzing. Okay, for the purpose of demonstrating, I would like to show you this slide, okay, which was prepared very quickly. Our sample data or our raw data is something that you can find on the right, on the left-hand side. Okay, you can have 5 PDF documents, you can have 5 DOC interview transcripts, you can have 5 images, or you can have mixture, 2 DOC interview transcripts, 1 image, 1 video, and 1 audio. Okay, for example. Now, any qualitative data which you have is on the left-hand side. Now, you will realize that each of these data, they have important points inside. Okay, why? Because we have already gone out for data collection. We have already gathered the data. Now, each of these data, if you can just go to my Microsoft document, okay, you remember in our series number 1, okay, series number 1, which is for conceptualizing qualitative research, we practice on creating research questions, research objectives, as well as the interview questions. Okay, very often research questions and objectives tally with each other. Now, this is what you have covered, prepared for the interview questions. Now, each of the data that we have collected will contain information on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, okay, the ones that we have gathered information. Now, this information, sometimes when we ask the interview question number 1, what is your experience? They will straight away mention this is their experience, however they have the problem of whatsoever, but no issue there because I can already overcome that problem. You realize when we ask question number 1, they will straight away answer question number 1 and also number 4 and also number 6. Okay, now what is the point that I am making here is that we can plan all we want, but the exact data that we will get is from our participants. They will provide the information because they are the stakeholders of the information. Their answer might not be in the sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, they could be answering question number 1 without realizing they also answered other questions as well. Now, as a researcher, we have to be very careful, especially that we want to make sure that everybody answers all our questions. Okay, we fear that some of them might not answer some of our questions, but sometimes that problem is only occurring in among certain participants. That is fine, okay, because that is the problem that they have highlighted, and that is the measure that they have highlighted as well. Okay, now based on that, when we ask the questions, for example, question number 1 and question number 8, we come back to this presentation. Question number 1 is represented by blue color. So you will see sometimes it is at the top position, sometimes it is at the bottom, and sometimes it's in the middle. Okay. Question number 2 is represented by red color, for example. Okay. And question number 3 is represented by yellow color. Let's just take example of 3 questions, okay, 3 interview questions. We ask them question number 1, question number 2, and question number 3. Now, you will realize that these answers are jumbled up, but what is most important is we are not producing these 5 data to our readers. We are actually producing the right-hand side research report. Okay, this is the raw data. This is the interpreted data. the interpreted data will be compiling all the yellow colored points together, all the red colored points together, all the blue colored points together, because this could be answering question number 1, question number 2, and question number 3. Okay, so on and so forth. If you have 8 questions, then it's going to be 8 colors altogether. Okay, so the points will be grouped together. Okay, now this is what we call as thematic analysis, or analysis based on the specific themes that we have identified for our research. For this particular example, I have shown 3 major themes that we have already collected, okay? And we have also answered here question number 1, question number 2, and question number 3. Now, let me just go back to the example in my Microsoft Word just now. I will just add in a new column here, layout, insert right. Okay. Now, what is it supposed to be here? I will also put in. Okay, I'll just do this. Question number 1, research questions, research objective, interview questions, and then I'm gonna have. Okay, right. Now, this is what we will do. Okay, I will explain later. Okay, but at the moment, I will just mention to you that we are going to put here code. Okay, code name. Okay, because after this, I'm gonna define for you what is code. Okay, code means or the major theme, code or theme name. Okay, theme or code name. Now you will realize that the first question is talking about experience. Okay? And the second question is about opinion. How do you find? Yeah? And number 3, reason or factor. Maybe we can put factor here. Okay? Now, because the first, what are the perceptions? Okay, here is their experience, their opinion, and the factor. And for what is the theme for this one? Please share some challenges, because for the second research question, what are the challenges? Okay, please share some challenges. So here it's going to be challenges, and here it is going to be opinion on challenges. Right. Number 6, it is going to be steps or measures. Okay, measures. And number 7 is going to be, do we have, oh, okay, I have another one. This, okay. Any procedure? Procedure. Here is suggestion. Okay. All right. Okay, right. Now, every time I teach my students how they can structure the analysis is by visualizing how they want it to appear in the findings chapter straight away. Okay, so I repeat that. In doing or in undertaking the analysis process, I always advise my students or my participants to visualize how they want it to appear in the findings chapter straight away. Okay, so for that purpose, I'm going to insert here just to, okay, spots. Right here. So it's going to be findings. Maybe it's chapter 5, just, okay, chapter 5 findings. 5.1, introduction. Okay. 5.2 is the in response is to address research question number 1. Okay, so here if the question is what are the perceptions of teachers teaching maths and science subject in English, so we're going to take perception of teachers. Here, put it here, text only, okay, which is my first research question. And then straight away I'm going to go 5.3 to challenges faced by the teachers. Alright, 5.4. Overcoming. Alright. Overcoming the challenges faced by teachers in teaching maths and science subjects in English. And then 5.5 is going to be conclusion. Okay. Right. So very simple. So you can see the structure, how it will go. Now it is going to be showing, all right, the structure, how they will visualize. It is because when they try to find the specific themes or the quotes inside of the data, the researcher is supposed to know at which area or at which location do they want to discuss this. Okay. For example, here, if particular for research question number 1, perception, we will know already that the discussion or the findings or the response to the interview question number 1, it will be under 5.2. Okay, whereby for questions 4 and 5, it will be under 5.3. Questions 6, 7, and 8 will be under 5.4. Okay. Having said that, let me just go here. Just to put 5.2.1 is going to be experience of teachers. 5.2.2 is going to be opinion of teachers. 5.2.3, factors. Okay. 5.3.1. Do you know where this is coming from? 5.2.1 until 5.2.3 are coming from here. Okay. Likewise here, challenges faced. 5.3.2 is going to be opinion and the challenges. Okay. Whereby here is going to be 5.4.1 measures to overcome. 5.4.2 is going to be procedure, the aspects of, okay, and 5.4.3, the final one will be suggestions for the government. Okay, it's as simple as that. Because when we know the answer to question number 6 here, where will it go? It will go to measures. It will be reported under 5.4.1. Okay. The reason why we do this, it is because when we see the data in front of us, we will be overwhelmed with whatever information that has been shared by our participants or whatever data that we have in front of us. We will think, oh, there are so many interesting things. But this table will guide you how you want it to appear in the finance chapter later on. Okay, you do not want to be carried away with all the vast of information shared by our participants or that you can find in the data, because this by having this table, it will serve as a guideline what information you should be looking for. Okay, so my common questions that I ask to my participants and my students is that, okay, you now have the interview transcript in front of you. What are you going to do? What is the first thing that you are going to do? Okay, and they will mention, I will read through the data. I will familiarize myself with the data, which is a good answer anyway. Okay. But when it comes to trying to tie back the answers in the interview questions or in the observation protocol or in the document that they have collected or in the video or audio, okay, they will have, they do not know what to do. Okay, so based on this suggestion that I have shared, I find that a lot of problems can be overcome, especially when they want to, how shall I say, try to dissect or to divide their data into smaller chunks. Okay, if you do have any questions, you can type in the chat box. Chat box. Okay, good. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Right. Now, these are the major themes. These are not yet the code names. Okay, let me just go back to my slide here, what I want to share. Okay, right, good. Now, the idea is we want to retrieve meaningful information based on the specific themes in our data and divide the data into smaller chunks. Okay, and that smaller chunk will be compiled together to be reported in the research report. Okay, I think we have a question here, which is a good question. What is the right time to analyze the data? Thank you, Salsabila, for asking the question. After finish all data collection or after we have at least one interview? Good question. Research methodological books recommend not analyzing after we finish collecting all data. Okay? At least one or few data that we have gotten, straight away we have to analyze it. Okay? Let me just go to the next slide, which will explain this further, particularly for Salsabila as well as everybody else here. Okay, CRASO 2003 has shared the steps for analysis, analyzing data. It should be analyzing data here. Okay, we go from bottom up, from the researcher collects the data. Okay, it could be text files such as field notes, transcriptions, optically scanned material, audio, video, images. And then we will prepare the data for analysis. So this is up to this stage, okay, everybody is familiar. Why? Because they have collected the data, they transform the audio interviews into transcription. And if they have the field notes, they can just put it into the field notes as well. Okay? And then you will read through or watch through the video or the audio for the obtaining of general sense of that material, which is good. Okay, now we have the data. It's like we're holding that data in our hands, and then only we will proceed to the step that we want to analyze. Okay, you will code the data. Okay, code the data is a research methodological term which can be used interchangeably with tagging or labeling. What does it mean? Codes here. It means to locate the text segment and assign a code to label them. Now, everybody knows this already. Why? Because we are so familiar with holding a hard copy document in our hands, right? So that hard copy document, we will, hard copy document, we will highlight accordingly. So it means locate the text segment. You locate the text segment, you highlight the relevant section, and then you assign a code to label to them. You highlight, you write on the right hand side. You highlight, you write on the right hand side. Okay? Or sometimes we write on the left hand side, right, bottom, whatsoever. Okay? Now, we can use highlighters, we can use labels or taggings to put beside the important sections. Okay? Now, there are two things that we are looking for. Number one, we will put the text for the description to be used in the research report. For example, that statement says, I like to study at this university. Okay, that is a statement. I like to study at this university. So you will be highlighting the relevant text. You will highlight that statement. I like to study at this university. But the meaning or the major theme that you want to put, it will be the one that you have highlighted, that you have shortlisted in the table just now. Now, coding means Coding means you highlight the relevant text as well you label it accordingly. Very easy. Okay? You highlight and then you label. Now, in response to the question from Salsabila just now, okay, it means that do we need to prepare all, then only we will do the coding process, or you can do it iterative. A lot of spelling errors in this slide. This should not be iterative, but it should be iterative. Iterative means without the end, it is back and forth process. Okay? Back and forth process, meaning you're not moving from one direction only. You could be coding the data and then you realize, there is a spelling error, so you will correct it. There can be a situation that we have understood it one way, but when we read it the second time, it means another one, another thing. Okay? Iterative, it means you could do this and then you go back, I need to do this correction. Now, on the right-hand side, it says simultaneous. Simultaneous means at the same time. Don't you think it's a bit impossible to do everything at the same time? Simultaneous, you collect data. At the same time, you prepare the data. And then you obtain a general sense. And then you do the coding. No. It means that simultaneous means we can do coding on the first interview at the time that we are reading through the data for the second interview, while we are transcribing the third interview, while we are collecting the fourth interview. Okay, so the significance of doing that is if we are analyzing the first interview, we realize, I missed one section. I'm supposed to address it another way, okay? Or I think this is worth exploring. I want to add another one question. Then you can just go and effect that for your following interviews. Okay, any mistakes or any improvements that you can find, you can do the correction straight away for the following interviews. It's not at the end of the session that after completing 20 interviews, we realize that, oh no, I missed asking this question and now I am not able to ask that question anymore because I have completed my data analysis. Majority of research methodological books will suggest that in order for us to do the analysis, when you have the data in your hand, you don't have to wait until everything is collected. Okay. Now, another way to look at this is detailed steps in the analysis process is, number one, we do the data collection, we prepare the data for analysis, we read one time, we code the data, and then we do the reporting of the findings. Now, before I go here, should I go here first? I wish to share with you I will come back to the inductive as well as deductive approaches, but most importantly, I want to share with you how to divide the text segment. Because just now we mentioned that you are supposed to do two things. Number one is we want to break down the data segments, and number two, we are going to find the themes. Okay, now how to divide the text segments first? Of course, if it is textual data, you're going to transcribe the interview. If it is audio or video, okay, and then we initially read through the data for general meaning, okay, so that you can find any patterns of discussion, okay, patterns of points mentioned in the discussion, and then we're going to determine the coding frame. Coding frame means how to divide. Yes, you determine the coding frame. What does it mean? How long do you want your selection to be? How long do we want to do the highlighting? It could be sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, or phrase by phrase. And we need to determine what the person is saying in the coding frame. For example, if it's sentence by sentence, it will be, I like to study at this university. One sentence, full stop until full stop. And the second one is paragraph. Whatever that you have whatever that you have transcribed, you are going to do it, highlight the entire paragraph. Or phrase. Phrase means you don't highlight the entire sentence, but wherever it is meaningful in that sentence, it is going to be, I like to study at this university, so we are going to highlight like. Okay, we are only going to take like. Or I have a problem studying at this university, so you're going to say have a problem. Okay, all right, like that. And determine what. Assign, after we have determined the coding frame, okay, I do know a few researchers that they go line by line. Okay, it's not sentence, paragraph, or phrase, they go line by line. What does this line mention? Okay, they will put a label beside it. What does this line mention? But in my opinion, the most appropriate one in general situation is going to be sentence. I normally do by sentence. What does this sentence say? Okay, what does this sentence say? Unless if that sentence is very short, then I'm going to take 2 sentences, okay, in order to make up that coding frame. And I will also assign a code label in the left margin. Okay? Code label in the left margin, it means try to use in vivo coding, their own words, okay, verbatim, if it is possible, and try to not overcode. Okay, try not to be carried away with what that person says. That's why I always recommend having a list of codes, to guide us. What is it that we're looking for? And then we practice lean coding. Lean coding means single layer coding, and it's not by putting it under specific ideas or major themes yet, okay? But we are going to put it as detailed as possible. After that, we look for any overlapping among those codes. Overlapping means father-in-law, foster father, sibling father, or half father, yeah, actually are fathers. It could be overlapping. If they are overlapping, we can have the choice of leaving it as such. Then you are going to have a lot of codes, or you can also combine the codes. All the father-in-laws, half-father, sibling father, and all will become fathers. Now, after we have the fathers, we are going, but there are no more overlappings. We look for any similarities or shared characteristics between one code to another, and we combine the codes into the relevant themes that we have. Now, if you realize, okay, this suggestion, it is based on what that person says, because we want to take a look into the small or very detailed code names, so that we can take a look at any similarities. For example, father, mother, brother, sister, they are not overlapping because they actually mean the different things. However, there is a similarity or shared characteristic between father, mother, brother, sister. They are actually family. Okay, you can combine them into the themes. Now, having mentioned themes, what are themes actually? Themes are broad categories of information when you group together the codes. Okay, the codes will be shared. Any codes that have shared characteristics, we're going to group them together under a specific theme. Theme can describe a setting, okay? Or theme can also describe what have occurred. Now, you will realize that sometimes among those themes, okay, some of them are what we already think this should be the answer. Okay? And while some others are unusual themes, something that you do not expect it. However, it is coming from the participants. Okay? So there are 2 types here. Number 1, we already have prioritized concepts or ideas And the second one is we do not have that prior quotes. It's a new or emergent ideas. Now, themes can also be related, okay, either chronologically or grounded theory model, because we're grounded theory means you want to build a model which is linked one quote to another quote so that you can produce a specific theory or a model. Now, I wish to go back to number, okay, before we go to the analysis strategies, okay, I wish to go back to the fourth point here. In the 5 to 17, some would be something that we already have ideas. Now, where do we get the idea from? Let me just give a very quick example here. Okay. Bigger size. So it's going to be 28. All right. Here. Can you share with me? Because here it will be okay. Example situation. Example question. How to raise, I like to use this example very much. Healthy, H-E-L-T-H-Y, chickens. How to raise healthy chickens. Okay. Now, can you suggest in the checkbox, how can we actually raise healthy chickens? Can you help me with that? Checkbox. Voice rector. Okay, there's noise. Is it okay if we add new questions after realizing its importance? Do we need to ask the new questions back to the respondents? Thank you, Romzi, for asking this question. This is very subjective question. Okay, is it okay if we add new questions after realizing it's important? My answer, it will be yes, it's okay. Do we need to ask the new questions back to the respondents? I will answer, if it is relevant for your research questions and objective, yes, please do ask the questions back to the respondents. That is why during the interview, we will, at the end of the session, we will mention that if you need any further information, you can always go back to that person and get his consent. Normally, they will say, okay, sure, you have my contact information, you have my business card or anything, okay, by email, or sometimes they will give their phone number. If it is possible, please go back to your respondents, okay, in order to get that answer. Okay, good question, Ramzi. Now, for this particular question, how to raise healthy chicken, can everybody help me to suggest how to raise healthy chicken? Number one, can you please type in the chat box? Nutritious food. Okay, good. Nutritious food. Organic food. Any other ways? Only 2 ways how to raise healthy chicken? Thank you, Anurama and Baya. Vaccinate. Yeah, vaccination, Chicken chop. Okay, chicken coop. Nasib baik, I baca chicken chop. Chicken coop must be at the right temperature. Okay. Good. Temperature for cook. Okay, good. All right. Now, can I ask, clean water is also good. Good space. Okay, good. Now, I want to ask these friends, Ainur Rahma, Baya, Razan, Rozia, Romzi, as well as Fatima. Where do you get these ideas from? Nutritious food, organic food, vaccination, good temperature for the cook, clean water, and good space. Where do you get this information from? Okay, good. Yes, good answer. Baya mentioned own opinion is good because you might have that knowledge. It's your research topic which is close to your heart. So you know some of the ideas already. Investigated a claim on insurance. Okay. Literature review. Okay, good. Maybe it's not from your experience, but you read it from the literature. Okay, okay, good. All right. Now, these are the ways how to raise healthy chicken. How do we know this? We know this even before we go for the analysis yet. We have not gotten into our data. Okay? This is what we call priori ideas. Priori ideas. Okay? Or existing ideas. Okay? In other words, methodologically, this is called as deductive. Why deductive? It is because you already have that knowledge. What are the things that should be there? Okay. Now, you will also realize that it could be other strategies how to raise healthy chicken. For example, number one, but very small. I'm going to make it 28 or so. Okay, number one, it is by way of, I don't know, walk the chickens. Or maybe not walk the chickens, but free range. Every day between Zuhr and Maghrib, you should release your chicken. Teach them to return back during when it comes azan for Maghrib. Okay, for example. Now, how do we get this information? We get this information from the participants, from the respondents, because we thought there are only 6. Okay, we thought there are only 6 ways how to raise healthy chickens, but we only when we analyze, we realize, there is another one that talks about free range. And number 2, the farmer response to this question, how to raise healthy chickens, they mentioned that it is by giving good music. Okay, they open the music so that the chickens will be relaxed. I don't know, this is just an example, okay, for everybody. Now, again, good music is an idea that comes not from us, it comes from the participants, because this is a new idea. Or we call it as emergent idea. Okay? Now, in other words, this is what we call as inductive. The difference between deductive and inductive is, deductive is something that we already know up front. Inductive is something that we just found out from the data, okay, and we put it into our analysis. Now, we have come to the stage that I want to share with you the difference between deductive and inductive. Okay. The inductive and deductive approaches of coding, both, even if you're not using FTCI, I'm sorry for putting that word. Now, the difference between inductive and deductive. Deductive is when you already have an external framework here for the purpose of avoiding any confusion. I better take that out. Okay. External framework is when you already have a list of priori ideas, and then you approach your data to fit that framework or to fit that codes into the data. We call it as deductive. The other way around is you start with the data first, and when you read through the data, you find new ideas. You will actually generalize that idea to put into your framework. Okay, this is something that we call as inductive. Along the way, okay, you can choose either you want to do it inductively, meaning, yeah, I have the data, I don't have a specific framework yet, but I just read the data and then I find that this is the direction that I should be going. As opposed to deductive, I know already upfront what is it that I am supposed to find. You can either choose inductive or deductive, or you can combine between deductive and inductive. Now, This figure, okay, shows the inductive coding process. You read the data, okay, on your left hand side, you can see the arrow is coming from left to right. Many pages of text. Okay, you read the data and then you break the data into data segments or the coding frame, remember? It's either line by line, paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence, or phrase by phrase. Okay? And when you break it down, you will also give a label or a tagging or a code name to the data segments. Okay? You will actually end up with first layer codes. Now, this example is just indicative to show you that beginning you will have many and then it will be reduced. Afterwards, in the second stage where you find any overlapping or redundancies, you are going to revisit that list of codes, okay? And they are going to reduce. Like I said, like I give the example. Foster father, half father, okay? That makes the first layer codes many codes. You will end up with so many codes only to realize some of them are redundant or overlap. That's why you're going to reduce them. And then you are going to merge the codes into themes, specific themes that we find. Alternatively, you can also do deductive coding process. Deductive coding is from your right to left. Okay, the difference between inductive is that you start with the data first, and deductive is you start with the themes first. I have clear picture. What is it that I want? I have the themes already, and then I will have a clear picture of the constructs or the codes. Okay, and it will probably be 20. Okay? And then you're going to break it down further into smaller codes. Okay? Break it down further, and then when you have that smaller codes, you will go through your data to find the evidence that talks about that code. Okay? For example, you already have 6 strategies how to raise healthy chicken. Number 1, it says good food. Number 2, it says organic food. So you are going to find any. You will hold the data in your hand and then you will say, aha, I will now find the word organic. So you zoom through, oh, okay, I find the word organic. So that is what you do. You know what is it you're looking for, then only you go to find the evidence from the data. Okay? And then it will make up the many pages of text, which is your entire text. Okay? I hope it is clear the difference between deductive and inductive. Now, the question is, can we combine between deductive and inductive? I think I have accidentally give the answer just now. Yes, you can combine. Now, we already have the themes. We already have the themes where? Over here. Experience, opinion, factor, challenges, opinion and challenges. These are the themes, okay? But we do not know what are the codes yet. The factor is the theme. But what is the code? Because we know for interview question number 3, when you ask why, it is to look for the factor. And you will be reporting this under 5.2.3, the factors. But it's not going to be factors only. Okay? Because now you, for example, if factor is represented by yellow colored dots over here, okay, it is the yellow colored dots. Example, the factors to be yellow colored dots. You cannot just compile it and put under 5.2.3. You now have to group smaller, yeah, among the factors, there will be similarities. Participant number 1 says factor A. Participant number 2, factor B. Participant number 3, factor C. Okay? But here, participant number 4 says factor A. Okay? So you will now know that this one and this one is actually speaking the same thing. So you're going to put it there. Factor A. Here is talking about factor B. And these remaining 3 are talking about factor C, okay, for example. So how are we going to report it? We are going to report there are 3 major factors in teachers adopting English, teaching maths and science in English. Okay, because that's my question, right? Yeah. What the teaching maths and science in English? Yeah, what is the why do they actually resort to teaching maths and science in English? After going through, we have already identified the yellow color answers to this question. What are the factors? Okay, everybody has mentioned it. And when we compile it over here, we find, there are three groupings. The first group, the second group, and the third group. How do we report this? We're going to say there are three factors upon which teachers resort to teaching maths and science subjects in English. The first factor is it is a top-down instruction by the ministry. The second factor is it is a requirement by the school and agreed to by the parents. And factor number 3 is, I don't know, any other factors that we can find. Likewise, for another question example will be challenges. Okay, what are the challenges? The red color is representing challenges. Okay? There are only 2 challenges. Challenge A as well as challenge B over here. Challenge A is readiness of the teachers. Challenge B, readiness of the students. Okay, so there are, how do we report it? We are going to say under 5.3.1 challenges faced by teachers teaching maths and science subjects in English is 2 challenges. The first challenge is readiness of the teachers. The second challenge is readiness by, likewise, we're going to repeat the same process for the others as well. Okay, here it will be suggestions. For example, here is the factors, here is the factors, challenges, as well as suggestions. Okay, that is what we are doing. Now, theoretically, I have shown how to structure, our report, as well as how to come up with the themes. Now, theoretically, it looks easy, but I think there is one question just now. I'm just going to read it out. How to relate inductive or deductive with our theory? If we have both deductive and inductive, where do we explain it? In the methodology or theoretical section? The inductive or deductive discussion, I always put it in the methodological chapter. Okay, chapter for methodology. Why? Because we have to explain your analysis process in the methodological chapter. Okay? However, if you are holding on to a specific theory, then normally that theory is guiding you for the purpose of finding the concepts in the theory among the data in your hand. Okay, so for that particular purpose, you are going to mention the theoretical section, okay, which should be in the findings chapter. If it is inductively or deductively found, you will mention that in the findings of the theoretical section. All right. Okay. Like I said, if you have any other questions, please write it in the chat box. Okay. Thank you so much. Now, theoretically, that is how we do it. But practically, how do we do it? Okay. Theoretical is easy. We know that this will be the end result. Okay? The findings will be the end result. But the process of coming through until we achieve this stage, there are various strategies. Let me share with you here. Okay, analysis strategies. Number 1, people use pen and scissors. Okay, pen and scissors in the sense that people will print out the transcript or the data onto colored papers, and these colored papers are different between among one participant to another. Okay, participant number 1 red color, participant number 2 green color, participant number 3 yellow color, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then we use pens for the purpose of identifying the relevant sections. After that, when we hold, actually this strategy is engaged by a lot of our seniors who are doing the manual method of analysis, okay, which is very achievable, and it is also effective in the sense that they will not be missing out any statement at all, okay, so that they can fully utilize all their data for the purpose of the analysis. And now, why scissors? If people know that if you print out on a paper and then you highlight and then you write on a piece of paper and you write beside that data, it's very common. Everybody does that. But why do I put scissors here? Because people actually use scissors in order to cut the colored papers. They will cut the colored papers in order to divide that into smaller chunks. Okay, I see this statement is talking about question number 1. I'm going to cut that out. This one is talking about question number 2. I'm cut that out. And remaining questions as well. Now, what do they do after they cut that section? They are going to compile that into an envelope, all responses for question number 1, another envelope for question number 2, another envelope for question number 3, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, we are going to have a lot of envelopes filled with pieces of colored papers. But what is most important is what we are doing is actually we break down the data into smaller chunks by cutting them and grouping them manually. Okay. Now, when the time comes for me to analyze, what I do is I will just put them on the table, okay, so that I can group them together. The second strategy is people will be using sticky notes. Okay, a lot of people are using sticky notes, different colors, different sizes. Why is it sticky? Because it's resealable. You can put it on the wall and then you take it and repaste it, take it and paste it again somewhere so that it will be arranged together. Okay? Now, another method is we use tables in Word or Excel, okay, like qualitative tables in Word or Excel, just to show what are the themes and what are the data. Now, let me go very quickly just to show maybe one example. Let me just go very quickly how to do this. Operation. Any document. Okay. Document. Okay. Okay. Right. This is good. Okay. Assuming that this is our data, okay, what we do is if we go through the first strategy, this will be colored paper, and then this will be colored paper, and we will use scissors in order to cut this section and put it into an envelope. Or the second strategy is we are going to write this in sticky note. Okay, sticky notes. Very often now people will use the sticky notes with different colors. And the third strategy is people will build tables. Okay, for example, the table that I wish to build now, it will be three things. Number one, it will be theme, and then here it will be code. Here it will be the statement. If the theme is perception, okay, perception is research question number one. Okay, the code perception. The code will be perception. For the first question is experience, I think. Okay. And the code will be experience. And we're going to take this statement, for example, this one, I'm going to put it here. And then I have another statement here. And then I have another statement here. So we'll just take it like that. What is their experience? Now, this experience, and then we're going to move on to RQ1, perception, is on opinion, because the second question is on opinion. So here is going to be opinion. And again, we're going to do that. We're going to take this and then bring this here. Okay. Right, example. And then proceed to RQ number 2 maybe, okay, for the challenges. All right, now, the experience here, it will be something that we want to report in the findings later on, okay? However, it must be a little bit detailed. Why? Because we have the theme here already, okay, for the experience. But the code will be much deeper than this to be, experience is 10 years, okay? We will think, what does this statement talk about? And then the second one is, what is this statement talk about? Experience, 5 years. And here, experience less than 1 year. Okay, example. Right. Why? Because this will be the table that you will be putting into the report. For the first theme, okay, experience, the data indicate that there are 3 types of experience: those with 10 years of experience, those with 5 years of experience, and those with less than 1 year. Okay, and the evidence is taken from the data itself. So this will be the table that you will put into the finance chapter. Okay, now the final strategy that I wish to share with you is qualitative softwares. Qualitative software, because strategy 1, 2, and 3, they are all talking about the manual way of analysis. But the third way, we call it as qualitative softwares, okay, because maybe some of you are aware that I am also teaching a workshop on qualitative analysis using Atlas CI. Okay, for that particular webinar session, I teach entirely from having the data, okay, the discussion tonight, until how to work on the analysis. However, okay, how does it work? Okay, for the purpose of our sharing tonight, I wish to share with you a preview, okay, of how it works for qualitative softwares. The question is it compulsory? Compulsory to use computer-aided qualitative data analysis software? This is the common terminology for qualitative software. CAQDAS, computer-aided qualitative data analysis software. For example, Atlas TI, NVivo, MaxQDA, and QuillCos. Okay, you are free to check on any of these or all of these websites, okay, to get more information about these particular softwares. But what do they actually do? They actually do the very same thing how we would do it anyway, okay, for the manual analysis as well. Okay, now maybe I can take some time in order to demonstrate to you, but I just switched on my computer, so it's going to take some time for me to open Windows. Very quickly, maybe I can show you in MacBook as well. this will not take long. I foresee we will finish around maybe another 5 minutes. Okay, just to show you. Here I have my windows. The interface for Atlas TI Mac. We can also see video, a video that you can play within Atlas TI itself. We can also have, this is a textual document, so you will see how it appears in the coding frame over here. Okay? So when you see these are the codes, okay? The codes that I have already coded on my data in Atlas TI Mac, and maybe I can show you in Atlas TI Windows as well. Okay? And we can also have a PDF. Here is a PDF. Let me just do this so that I can show it larger size. Okay, here is also what are the benefits of psychological benefits, physical benefit. Okay? You will see the interface of Atlas TI is reflecting pen and paper concept. Okay, why? Because the data that we usually see in front of us, it appears in the middle here, whereby on your right hand side is the data segment. Okay, is the code name. Sorry, this is the data segment. Okay, data segment which has been highlighted here. Likewise here, and this is the code names. Okay, all the codes. Likewise, we can have images as well. Okay, images. This is the people swimming, and this is the physical benefit. Okay, physical benefit for the teamwork. Okay, for example, in my Mac. Okay. That what I just showed you is the interface for MacBook. Yeah, we can also put PDF document. Yeah, the ones that we can do the coding. Likewise, when we are here are the code names that I have prepared. Okay? Code names are prepared according to the table of my Microsoft Word just now. Okay, not this one, but this one. Okay, here. The code names are created based on this example table as well. Okay? So when you see here, maybe we can say badminton. Okay, I find a section that talks about badminton. I will straight away bring badminton and to code it here. Okay, and this one is talking about swimming, and another section is talking about. Let me just go here. Okay, another section is talking about psychological benefit. Oops, sorry. Okay, likewise here. Okay, very easy, just to show you. And when I want to do the write-up later on, okay, I can just find here. Okay, because I want to find psychological benefit. Whatever that talks about psychological benefit, I want it to be shown before me. So this is actually a compilation of everything that is talking about psychological benefits. Likewise, that is also can be seen in my Atlas TI Windows. Okay? Likewise, I can have a video. Yeah. Okay. Which plays inside of the video itself.
Is going to try and maneuver.
Okay.
Dmitriev.
I can have a .doc. Here is a .doc document filled with codings as well, just to show you. These are the code names. Yeah. Example, this part is talking about big code. Here is talking about health. Here is talking about psychological benefit. Likewise here, I can have a .pdf. Here's a PDF document. You can also see on the right-hand side over here, this one is talking about code C, this one is talking about code B, this one is talking about code B, for example. And I can have a list of codes over here so that I can, so that when we are analyzing the data, changing from one document to another, we can actually take a look at what are the code names over here. But then again, what is it that we are doing? Okay? Let me just go maybe for the benefit of it. Okay, I wish to show you about the benefits of sports. Okay, we are all under benefits of sports. They are all talking about benefits, but then again, like MacBook as well can do this. Okay. Here is LTCI Windows showcasing my benefits. Okay, whatever that I have gotten. Now, to my particular question just now, is it compulsory to use? Is it compulsory to use computer-aided qualitative? No, it's not compulsory, but we use computer softwares to automate certain things. Still, we have to do the mental exercise, reading through the data, understanding the data, to give it a specific label name, for example, using the computer software. But the automated section will be when we give instructions at the CI, can you please retrieve for me everything that I have highlighted before for this particular code, and it will bring out something like this. Okay? Benefit of sports, there are 5 main benefits of sports. Why do I say that? Because this one is supported by my data. I can just bring in the quotation that talks about psychological benefit. I can also bring in the data that talks about physical benefit. Here, I can just bring that. Big code A, example. This is visualizing everything that we have highlighted so far for that particular code. But then again, okay, it's not compulsory, but we use it for the purpose of proper management of our data, as well as proper, one is proper management and one is the proper reporting. Why? Because this particular image, we can actually put it into our thesis, okay, in order to facilitate reporting. Okay? You can have, this is not you created it on your own. This is actually coming from the data, which makes it more valid, okay, in the sense that you are representing the findings from the data, which is very helpful for the purpose of convincing the readers of our research. Okay. Now, what do we do after that? Okay, what do we do after we have gotten something like this? In fact, this can be created even without using LTCI, but the journey to create this is a little bit longer, okay? And we have to be very strong, okay, in order to endure the process of picking relevant information from the data and to label it accordingly, and then to put it into a section that can help us for the purpose of arranging it in our finance chapter. Okay, I always advocate the use of computer softwares. If not at the CI, you can use NVivo, MaxQDA, or Querycos, the 4 major ones that people are using nowadays, okay, for the purpose of our qualitative analysis. I advocate the usage because it has proven track record of facilitating qualitative analysis and qualitative reporting as well. Okay. All right. So, any questions? I would like to read. Okay. How do we transcribe, analyze video recorded behaviors? Okay. Okay. Good question. I missed that point. First question: do we need to transcribe audio or video? If we do transcribe, how do we do that? Okay. Now, to Izati's question, I will answer no, it's not compulsory to transcribe. Why? Because nowadays, computer softwares can help us to analyze audio or video. However, our human nature and human mind, we read better than we watch or we listen. If we read a transcription of an interview, it is easier for us to zoom through the intended word or a document. A word or a phrase that we're looking for. Rather than listen, you cannot zoom. You have to just wait for it, pause, read, play again, pause again. Okay. Now the first question is it compulsory to transcribe? No, it's not compulsory. However, transcribing can make your life easier, a lot easier. Okay, now video recorded behaviors, it depends on what is it you wish to achieve. Do you wish to achieve a certain set of data in the video or in the audio? For example, in a classroom, the teacher was asking a question, and your topic or your theme that you're looking for is what is the response rate of the students responding to the teacher's question. So when the teacher asks a question to a class full of 30 students, 15 students raise their hands, which is half of the class, raise their hands. So what are you going to report here? You're going to report 15 out of 30 students raise their hand to answer the question. Okay, what is your evidence to show that? You can put a screenshot of the video, which is again one of my favorite features inside of FTCI as well. Okay, for example, here you can actually capture snapshot while you are playing the video. I find that the video is working, that they are racing, and I want to screenshot here. I just capture the snapshot, and not only that, that snapshot will be converted into an image, okay, inside of my software again, so that I can put a label here to say 15 students raised their hands. Right? Okay. 15 students raised their hand. And another image will be here, it will be teacher is satisfied. So because 15 students raised their hands, so the teacher is satisfied. Now, the video is, it will be telling you what minute from that video as well. This one is 1 minute 53 seconds, 200 milliseconds. Okay, just to show you the duration, or not duration, the minute in which this image was captured. A lot of ways in which softwares can help us to do that. But then again, it's not compulsory to use the software. We can actually do this outside of FTCI as well. From the VLC media player or Windows media player, you can play the video and then you can screenshot the video as well. Now, what we have in the software will facilitate the entire process of playing the video, coding the video. Likewise here. Here is, because video is a moving thing, right? I can play it for that selection only, and I can put a specific label to it. Here is psychological benefit, and this one is talking about big code. So I can mention whatever has been mentioned during my observation talking about psychological benefit. It runs from second 45 until second 59. The duration is 14 seconds. Okay, just to show you, this will be very helpful, okay, especially that we are, if you have video or audio data, then please consider using other applications that can help us. Okay. All right. Now, the idea behind this today's session is, we have the data in our hand. What are we going to do with it? We have to work through the data in order to convert the raw data into interpreted format. Okay? It's the process. It's the process. Okay? Source data. Theoretically, it's very easy. Yeah, you want to change the raw data into interpreted data. But practically, how do we do it? Okay? Practically, a lot of people are still using manual analysis, which is fine, because it is something which is doable and achievable. Okay. However, I strongly advocate the use of qualitative softwares so that it can help us to focus on the data instead of focusing on the management of the data. Okay, let the software manage our data. I think I have achieved the objective of today's session, which is to share with you the strategies how to do the data analysis, and you can choose, in fact, you can choose which strategy that works best for you. Okay, pen and scissors, sticky notes, table in Word, Sarah Excel, and qualitative software. I think we have one final question. I forgot to read that out. Is there a suggested time period to analyze recorded videos before stimulated recall interviews? I'm afraid of taking too long to analyze the videos and prepare the interview questions. There is no specific time frame. Okay. However, I would suggest again two things. While you are doing the data collection, you straight away put field notes. Okay, you take down notes in your diary so that you will know what are the most important things inside of the video. Okay, so that you should focus on. From that, you will know where to which minute to focus on, rather than empty thoughts. Okay, you're going with empty mind, it will take a longer time as opposed to you know already what you're supposed to do. I would suggest the first one is taking field notes, and the second one is to break down the video into smaller chunks, okay, so that you can focus more on different sections. In the event you need to take a break, okay, go out with your friends, attend to your family, do attend lectures, for example, then you can know which chunk that you have already finished analyzing. Okay, for the purpose of breaking down into smaller chunks, maybe you have heard of Handbrake application before. Handbrake, I always use this. Handbrake. Okay. You can Google Handbrake. It's a free application in order to break down our data into smaller chunks so that you don't focus too much and too long on a very long duration of the video. Okay, 1 hour or 2 hours, then it will be. I think this will be very useful. Okay, for your case. Any other questions? I think taking into account the time, maybe we can continue discussion in our Telegram group. Okay,